everyone. I was making magic in the background, trying to go live and do all this technical stuff that I have no business doing, but I'm doing anyway. So thank you so much for joining us. When you see us, hey, Joni, I see you, girlfriend. Super excited you're going to be in synchronicity with us. Very, very, very excited about that. And that's it. I think we're full. I think we're full on that book. So I am over the moon. We're going to have 30 authors in that book. So very excited. I am here. We're doing Author Advantage today, and I get to interview someone that I just met recently, but I felt like she had such a good and clear message that can help authors get to that next level in helping them to get their books out there and promote themselves, but also those kind of inside, tips and tools and tricks for what you can do with your website and adding some of that sizzle, especially when it comes to your funnel. So our title today is From Words to Sales, Funnel Building and Email Marketing Tips for Authors with Melissa from MEO Marketing Group. So I'm going to just give you her bio really quick, just a real short one, and some things that I think are super cool about Melissa. Melissa is a copywriter, a marketing strategist, and a semi-retired rugby player, and now she's boxing. So after spending 8 years as a paralegal litigating hundreds of cases, she pivoted to pursue her passion for marketing, founding MEO Marketing Group. Melissa now specializes in crafting sales pages, email campaigns, and funnel strategies that have helped clients generate millions of dollars in revenue. So the gal knows what she's talking about. So I have her backstage, and just Joni, really quick. Thank you. I've already created my template, and I love it. Perfect. I love it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. If you happen to pop on here, please say hi to me in the comments, and I'll acknowledge you as we kind of go along here. But Melissa, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I've gotten to know Melissa a little bit through a shared organization that we belong to called Entreprenista. And if you want to know more about that, and if you're wanting to network and you're wanting to connect with other female entrepreneurs, send me a little message, either a Facebook message or something like that. And I'll help you get introduced to that. But I've been meeting all of these amazing people like Melissa. So Melissa, tell us a little bit more. I gave you a brief introduction, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, yeah, sure. One of the main reasons why I'm so excited to be here is that I've always wanted to finish writing a book. I've been writing since I was a little kid. That's how I ended up finding copywriting. And I've been writing stories for as long as I remember. So that's part of the reason why copywriting feels so fun. I've been very fortunate to be doing this full time for almost 3 years now. I quit my last job on my birthday, which is really exciting.
Yes, I love that. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. It wasn't planned, but it was still like a nice surprise from the universe. I was like, okay, well, maybe this is what I'm meant to do. So I'm very happy to be here and just talk about everything like marketing, just because I know for authors, it's so easy to just get caught up in there's so many details in writing a book and then getting it published, but then it's easy to not think about, well, what do I do afterwards? How do I market it?
That is exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah. I think the hard, because it's so exhausting. It really can be exhausting to write your book. And then you're like, okay, now what? Now what do I do?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I went through the emotional turmoil of creating something that matters to me. And will anybody like it? Will anybody read it? Will anybody do anything with it? And they will. They really, really will.
Yeah, definitely. You just have to find your audience. And if you have it in front of the right people, then it's shocking how easy it starts to feel once all the pieces start fitting together.
Yeah. I'm going to just check our Facebook really quick just to make sure that everything is running properly.
Okay.
Because I did it. Let's be real, okay? Out in the As You Write community, it looks like we are doing it. We are doing it. I see Patricia Holgate Haney, my girl. She's out there liking things. So please say hi, Patricia. All right, so let's get into it because we got some ground to cover. But I think these are all things that people can implement relatively easily and quickly. They don't necessarily have to be a tech genius, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm tech illiterate and I can get it done if that helps.
And I know how to stream to Facebook. So
more than what I can do.
I'll teach you. It's fine. All right, so let's start here. Why do you feel storytelling is essential in marketing, and how can authors adjust their existing skills to apply this in their marketing effort?
I really love that question just because storytelling is such a big aspect into writing a novel, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. You initially don't really think about that being important in marketing, but marketing is huge. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We get bombarded with marketing materials all the time. And lately, especially in the last few years, I've seen the trend more with people not wanting to be sold to right away. They want to be understood, and people being a lot pickier, whether it's giving out their email address, buying a book, or shopping for something online, for example. I really love that the trend is now that people are trying to be more conscientious of who they're buying from. They want to know more of the customer's journey, and it's really encouraging for more personal brands, which essentially what authors are, who are able to have their personality out there. And sometimes that is what really hooks people in, which sounds kind of goofy because you are kind of like hiding behind your characters in a way where it's easy to feel that way. But it's surprising like how oftentimes people meet you and they're like, wow, that is so interesting. And then they just want to hear more from you. So I highly encourage authors to talk about more about their story, and not just the novel they wrote or the nonfiction book that they wrote, but also how they got there. Because I forget the exact statistic, but it's incredibly low, the number of people who start writing a book and don't finish it, whether it's published or not, because it's a lot of work because you're mapping out different timelines, there's different characters to think about, the setting, etc. And if you're able to tap into that and use that into your marketing, that can be really helpful, because I've looked at author websites before, and a lot of times you don't really know, they're kind of structured in a way that like you should already know who they are, and you don't want to approach your marketing that way. Yes, maybe you have won an award or you are a best-selling author, but you do want to write your website copy or a landing page, for example, which is what's called at the top of the funnel. So your funnel is the journey that people go through to become a customer. What's at the top is usually a website, usually a landing page too. If you're trying to collect emails, they're usually pretty vague. And it's hard to understand, okay, well, who's this? I see this person's name, or it goes straight into the books they're selling, but like, you don't know anything else about them. Like you might be able to tell what the book is from the cover or from the title. So adding a little bit of context helps, but also people really love behind the scenes stuff. So just having a little bit of a story of like how you even came up with a concept of your story, having little snippets. It doesn't have to be anything super elaborate. It can really just be like a paragraph or two. That can be enough for someone's like, oh, okay, well, actually, this person sounds really nice. And they're also seeing your writing style, which is probably going to be reflected in your book as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing with, your website, and it's meomarketinggroup.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
That with your website, like, as soon as I pop on there, like above the fold is you with the dog, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And then, and I'm like, I already like her. And then, and then you talk about playing rugby, and you have pictures of you playing rugby, and you have, all of that kind of stuff. And I love the storytelling element that you portray in your own work. It's kind of like you walk the talk, and you show by example. And I really love that. I really love that that you do that, because sometimes we don't do that, and I know for sure that I am guilty of that too. So this is as much for me as anyone. But yes, the storytelling piece is big, and I'll give everyone an example. There's a author named Louise Penny. She did the Three Pines series, and it's a murder series, and she's Canadian. And she talks she talks about the journey that she took with her characters and why she even started writing the book in the first place. And I'm pretty sure, I'd hate to say something wrong here, but I feel like her husband passed away, and these characters kind of became her friends and along this process of healing and allowing. And so she used it essentially to begin with as a cathartic method of healing, and then it turned into everything that it is, which is actually really huge. And she's a pretty big Canadian writer. So with it turned into a show on Prime, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that piece, and that was so endearing to me, because I was seeing her characters as part of my family too, because I think she was writing them in that way, that they're a part of her process. So, and I know this for sure too with nonfiction books as well, is that it is a opening process. I have an author right now who emailed me, and she said, okay, so I cried all the way through chapter 6 that I wrote, and it was so healing. And so I was allowing myself to feel some of those grief feelings that I haven't been really allowing myself to do. And I'm like, absolutely, that's what I think writing is all about. And so if we open ourselves up and people see us, they love us, because they can see themselves in us. So I'm so glad that you bring that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love that. Yeah, and that's something else that I was going to touch on too, is that the connection is so important, and the connection comes before the conversion, or when they buy your book, for example, because it doesn't have to be extremely personal or anything like that, because people have different levels of being comfortable with that, and that's completely okay. But you want to draw in people who are like your ideal client, essentially. And if you're able to be just vulnerable enough or open enough to have some type of connection piece, people really resonate with that. And then because they feel like they know you a little bit better, they read your book a little bit differently. And exactly what you were saying is like those characters become part of you too.
Yeah, it's so true. Joni had a question. I just want to make sure I touch on it. It is just about the chat. Yes, Joni, you're seeing it in YouTube, and so you're not seeing all the other chat messages from anywhere else that might be on Facebook. So you're not doing anything wrong. It's just the nature of streaming in multiple places. Okay, so next question. What are some common mistakes you see authors make with their landing pages or websites, and what are some quick fixes that could help boost their conversion rates?
It's actually something that I see in a lot of websites across any type of industry is that what's called the fold copy, which you mentioned earlier. So that's the very top of a website or a landing page before you scroll down. It's not clear. So it's going to be slightly different on a website homepage compared to a landing page, because a landing page, its one job is to collect an email. So they're going to be structured a little bit differently. But if it's not clear there, that's almost always the reason why somebody leaves someone's website, because they don't understand what the person does or what the business does, for example. So even if someone else, say they have a book in the same genre as you and maybe even a fairly similar story, if they don't know what it's about because they didn't even know that you're an author, then it's more likely that they're going to go to somebody else just because their website or the landing page was a little bit clearer, which is really unfortunate. But luckily, it's a pretty easy fix. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Like a lot of author websites will have their name at the top in the fold copy, but they won't have anything else. It'll go straight to the books, or it will maybe show something that doesn't quite fit into the rest of the landing page or the website. So I do strongly suggest that if you are having your name in the fold copy, have romance author, non-memoir writer, or something along those lines, just to be clear about what it is that you do. Then they're like, oh, okay, this person writes romance novels, for example. And then they probably can go into either a testimonial or a mini about section talking about their journey from where they got the idea for the story or how they became a writer, for example, and then diving into the books. And the book descriptions don't have to be anything crazy either. It can just be one or two sentences and the cover, just enough for them to be like, oh, okay, that actually sounds pretty interesting, because by this point they've already gotten a little bit of a connection piece from you. And then once they see what the book's about, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, this sounds awesome. Let me add it to my cart, for example. So luckily it doesn't take too much time to adjust those things, but that is something that I've seen a lot. A lot of author websites and landing pages just don't give a lot of context between for the author themselves or for the books either.
So when you work with someone, do you coach them on how to do it? Do you help them do it? How do you work with people when you're working with them?
I primarily work with clients one-on-one, but also on my email list. Like I do send like pretty lengthy like teaching emails. I'm actually working on one today, and I have like an audio version that pairs with it for people who
Oh,
are
nice.
on the go or they're busy. Just because like I know like not everyone can outsource to a copywriter, so I try to give them more do it yourself tips. But when I work with clients, it's always one-on-one. So I do let them know this is what I'm seeing. I'm looking at your funnel as a whole, and this is where I see we need adjustments. And then I'm the one who works on those things, but I let them know beforehand just so they understand, because a lot of business owners aren't quite sure what all the terminology means.
Right. So because I think that's one of the things that might stop authors, memoir authors, people who are doing other types of work, is like building a website, in general, and what I'm hearing from you too is that it can be simplified. It doesn't have to be like because y'all, y'all
Yeah.
know me. I like have, my website, I've had it for like 8 years now or something, and it's got a million pages, and it's just and so and Todd has gone and like whittled down all the pages, but it can be something more simple, like a more of a landing type of page or something like that. And I know that, I'm probably going to do a quick little short video on, how to build a website in Canva. But do you have any recommendations as far as what types of websites do you hook them up with that? Do you help them with that kind of thing?
I don't do the back end website stuff. I write all the copy, but I am partnering with a lot of website designers if they want help with that, just because I don't want to, just kind of leave them out to dry. Because the
I know
copy is
exactly what to
important.
say, but I don't know how to make a website. Yeah.
Yeah, because it is very technical, and there's a lot of different components that go into building a website too. Like I created my own from scratch, and it's always a headache whenever I have to change something, just because like I'm not trained in it. But
You're not that girl.
yeah, but you absolutely don't need to have a super fancy website. It doesn't even have to be like flashy, but have at least one picture of you, one that you enjoy. I know like a lot of writers are introverted. I say this all the time with copywriters, like you just don't even know what they look like, or you might not even know their name because they just don't list it anywhere, and it's just because they haven't really thought about it. But again, that's where the connection comes from. There's a face, there's a name, there's some type of backstory before for the author that really helps people connect with them before they start reading into their books.
I always, like the first thing I do when I pick up a book is I look at the front, and then I turn it over and I look for the author.
Me too.
For the author. There's something that I need as a human that loves connection, is to just, do I resonate with this person? And I'll do that because, we're not for everyone. I say that a
Yeah.
lot. It's just about me. But we're not for everyone. And so, but I look and I just see, can I hang with this person? Because I'm going to be reading their words for, 4 hours, maybe 5 hours or something like that. And, they're going to be maybe the ones to put me to sleep at night. Do I feel that connection with them?
Mhm.
So I think that's good to add that to the website. And I see that people, like to exactly to your point, writers can be very introverted and a little bit shy and don't want to put themselves out there. And I think that's why we really need copywriters like you and marketers like you to help us to be seen, because it's not really in our wheelhouse. We want to quietly reflect and, have a personal journey. So
Yeah, it's uncomfortable because you're not used to it. You're so used to being in your head and with your characters, even though you are very proud of your work. Like even talking about it, you're like, oh, did that sound weird? Is someone even gonna be interested in that? But like, I promise you, somebody is. But if you're not talking to the right people, they're not gonna be able to find you.
yeah, I get it. Yes. Having been a business owner for as long as I have, on and off different situations for 20 years, I can tell you that one of the things that works the best for me is that personal connection. And if we're going more towards a digital world and a digital platform, especially for sales, people need to see us and connect with us. So I think that's huge. How can authors build and monetize an email list from scratch? And what is crucial for that long-term success?
Oh, I love this question just because like I have noticed in the last few years that like social media has been pretty big for authors. And again, a lot of authors and writers are introverted. So they're like, well, how do I do that? Like, how do I get people interested in my book? Because it is hard because you don't want to have that mixed in entirely with your personal account. You have to have like a different account, but it doesn't have to feel so uncomfortable. What's really nice about an email list is that there's no algorithm to it. So yes, there are some rules you have to follow, like your subject lines have to match your email so you don't get sent to spam. You have to get some tech things set up, but like once all that's set up, it's honestly not hard to get out or stay out of the spam box as long as you're delivering quality content. And then as an author, even though you are selling your book or multiple books, it comes back to the connection piece. And now that there's so much, like information out there on the internet and everything's digital, I think it's really cool to see authors like behind the scenes stuff. So like help me talk about like this character or like map out this journey, for example. And it doesn't have to be exclusive to social media. You can absolutely set up a social media account that leads to your email list. So it sends them to a landing page so that you can collect their email address, so then which sends them either a welcome email sequence or maybe just an email by itself to kind of let them know what their expectations are, who you are, how often they're going to hear from you, for example, and let people know if that's something that you like. You're going to send them like behind the scenes snippets. You can send them a personally signed copy, for example, because it's so personal to what you do. Like a few years ago, I forgot exactly what the platform was, but there was a nonfiction writer who's writing a book on Central America because my parents are Central American. And because I signed up for her email list, she sent me like a signed copy like with my name and like a personalized message. And I thought it was the coolest thing. It was like first time author, but like I still thought it was awesome because she took the time to personalize that. And like she didn't have to do that, but I felt like I knew her more just because number one, we're both Central Americans. Like we had that connection piece. And then also she took time out of her day to do something so personal, and it can be anything that you want it to. You don't have to send emails every single week if that feels like a lot. You can send them maybe like a monthly newsletter, for example. Just make sure that you're fairly consistent and try to keep a cadence that does feel comfortable to you because you don't want to overwhelm yourself, especially with authors. I don't think you need to send an email maybe more than once a week just because you're also working on other things for your book. So it is pretty time consuming, but at the very minimum, I highly suggest having a landing page that talks about you and your book or multiple books. If you have more than one, have a little blurb where they can fill out their name and their email address, but also let them know what the benefits are of joining a newsletter, because I know I see this a lot across all industries, but you'll see a website that says join our newsletter for exciting updates. But I mean, like that could be anything. Trying to get more specific if it's like behind the scenes content or like you're going to like a book signing event or something like that. That is more specific to what you're doing. Some people are like, oh, okay, well, actually, that does sound really interesting. Like, let me go ahead and put in my email address. And I do suggest having a short welcome email sequence. You don't have to. At the very minimum, thank them for being a subscriber of yours, just because they are taking time out of their day and people are becoming a little bit more picky about handing out their email, just because we all have like a spam email address account for stuff that we do. Like, yeah, I do it too.
I have 2,000 emails in mine right now.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. It would drive me crazy.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the very minimum, just thank them for being there with you. Let them know what to expect, how often you're going to be in their inbox, stuff like that, because people like knowing those things ahead of time. And then have a separate email introducing yourself more formally and talking about your background, how you got into writing a book, for example. It's a little bit more personal, but also try to encourage replies. And it can be as simple as where in the world are you from? Give me recommendations for trying a new food, for example. It doesn't have to be exactly what your email is about, but try to encourage a conversation with your subscribers, because platforms, they really love that, but also it's great for building relationships too. Because like I love it when my subscribers respond to me. So when I email them back, they're like, "Well, I didn't think you'd actually respond." I'm like, "Well, I'm an actual person."
I'm real. I'm not a bot.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really means a lot to people because they don't personally know you. They're starting to get to know you. So it really humanizes you, but like in a good way, because they're going to be spending a lot of time with your characters or the people in your book. And that just brings you close to them. And it becomes easier to create more of a longer relationship with them as you write more books. But I do suggest having just a short email sequence like that. It doesn't have to be anything super elaborate, like 7 emails or anything, just because you're probably going to
That's a lot. Yeah. There, there's so many, I think it comes from, I mean, people, okay, when I was younger, like the author was absolutely out of reach, out of touch. You had to go through their publisher to maybe connect with them or find out when their next book signing was or something like that. And it was a very like veiled thing. Like, they were celebrities and all this kind of stuff. And with this massive rise in self-publishing and the self-publishing industry, I think that it's exactly what you're saying is so necessary. That the egotistical side of being an author is just unnecessary. It's just there doesn't have to be a gatekeeper to you. The more you connect with your audience, the more they're going to want something, read from you and come back to your solution or come back to your product or service, or just keep reading, because and I'll tell you, the way that people, like, if you go on a book talk, people are absorbing information quickly. Like, if you were writing a fiction book, already have the next fiction book on deck, because people are going to want that next level, that next chapter, or that next concept or whatever. The Housemaid is like really huge right now on Book Talk, and it's just like book after book after book, and then they're like, okay, I'm sitting there waiting, or the Sarah J. Maas books or whatever, and they're like massively huge. I haven't even cracked open one of those books, but I'm like looking through this thick, and I'm like, how are they getting through these books? It's insane. So always have one on deck, for sure.
Yeah. And you can be accessible and still have boundaries. You don't have to feel like you have to be live all the time or talk about your family or anything like that. Like, you have to think about what you're comfortable sharing, and that's completely okay. Like, nobody's gonna ding you if you like never, like, as long as you reveal your name and like people know what you look like. I think that's more than enough to get a relationship started off on the right foot.
Yeah, and just respond to emails. Yeah, because I think that means so much. The other thing that I recommend our authors do, which I think is very special, and also something, interestingly enough, I learned from Book Talk, is and what I found that authors love when or not authors, but readers love when I do it, but they're also happen to be our authors. I have been sending wrapped books. I'll wrap them in tissue paper with stickers, and I'll put little stickers in there, and I'll, put bookmarks and pens and like make little cute things. Like, this is a really cute thing that I made, that it's a pen holder, and you can put like, you can put a paper clip back here, put it into the thing, and just these little personal things, and with a note that says thank you so much. And this would be for book orders that they're doing pre-orders or signed copies, and they're doing them through the mail. That little extra touch will make them want to put that as a post on their Facebook, or put that on a post on their Instagram or whatever. And like, I got so many cute stickers, and you need to go see this person. And so that little extra touch is a magic maker. I truly think.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's really not a whole lot of extra effort, but it adds so much value, because like what you were saying earlier, like back in the day, like authors were basically celebrities. Like you didn't know anything about them besides what was on their Wikipedia page.
Right, right. They were inaccessible. And I love the accessibility of self-published authors, indie authors, because they are like, I want to know what you want from me. You know, I want to know what you want next and what you want to see. I want to see your fan art, and I want to see this. I actually did some fan art for a friend of mine who, well, I didn't know him, but he's a friend, even though he's an author that I met through Book Talk, right? And I drew a little picture of one of his main characters, and I sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh my God, I want to put this on the TikTok and show everybody."
Aww.
You know, and that's so special. And I was like, I'm completely endeared to you now. I'm going to write a review for your book. I'm going to download it. I'm going to get a physical copy because you thought I was cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that, I think all of this goes along the storytelling, the funnel building, the helping people see you through your emails. This is all stuff that you help people do. It's like you've got a lot of the sizzle and a lot of the steak, you know, and both, because you know what needs to be done. And, you know, whereas me, I'm just like, no sizzle, all potatoes.
Potatoes are great.
I know. And I'm not good at that, you know, kind of thing. So, you know, it's kind of a no-brainer for authors to utilize your services to move forward. I truly think. I have one more question for you, but I do want to say this before we, you know, just, you know, as a preemptive, how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, easy on Instagram or LinkedIn. I am more active on LinkedIn than I am on Instagram, but both of them, just look up MEO Marketing Group or Melissa Esmeralda, and then you'll find me.
I'm just going to put that in here. Group. It's meomarketinggroup.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pop that up on our screen just so people have it. Marketing group. Perfect. And so that way they can get on your email list, right?
Yeah.
Continue to get some of these tips, continue the conversation with Melissa. She's incredible. I've just, like I said, I met her and I was like, oh my gosh, I just need to introduce her to everybody I know. All right, final question. Why is funnel building so important, and how can authors create a funnel that works, starting with their web page or landing page?
I think because you're already, if you're getting a book published, you're already a talented writer. And even if you're not able to outsource everything to someone else, you already have a really good foundation for something that's going to help write your books. Because when you have a website and a landing page and an email list, that can help sell your books on autopilot, essentially, once it's done correctly, rather than you constantly posting on social media every day or talking about it to like everybody that you know, which, yes, it is helpful, but it's also nice to not have to do all the work by yourself all the time. Your marketing does a lot of that for you. And again, if you only have a fairly simple landing page with like your information, a mini about section, some testimonials in your books, that's completely okay. That's better than nothing. Right. And that introduces people to you. So then once they start getting your emails and they're more familiar with you, then it really starts building that relationship. It does definitely feel a little bit weird to write copy because it's very different from any other type of writing that you've done. Like you break all the grammar rules, you can make up words, you can italicize things just for emphasis, you can have one sentence paragraphs, which blew my mind when I first learned that because it sounded so weird. But once you get the hang of it and realize that a lot of it is learning how to be persuasive, but also be logical without being, pushy, then it becomes a lot easier. And having a simple funnel with a website and a landing page and a very short email sequence that can really help people connect with you. And then it can sell your books, because if you have all that put together and then you have your feature like on a podcast, for example, or you go to an event, then that's an easy way for people to get into your funnel and then start buying your books. And it's so much easier than having to do it by yourself every single day. It becomes your marketing team essentially.
Yeah, you pinged me on that that one where it's like you can do anything you want.
Mhm.
You do anything you want. Because my brain, the kind of writer brain in my, it's like, no, everything has to be a certain way, because even in formatting and in all of that stuff, we follow very strict standard rules, standardized
Mhm.
rules with the publishing industry. So I think that that's where you could definitely come in and help people, because they're so used to following those standards, following the rules, that they need someone to come in and break the rules for them a little bit, so, and let them off the hook of letting them kind of see the potential and the possibilities of what, can happen. Because our reading brain, that's going to be reading a fiction book, is different from the brain that gets inspired to buy that nonfiction book. The
Mhm.
colors and the imagery and the italics and the things, and what, how they're connecting to the author in a unique way. So I think that I was like, that's a very good reason, because we naturally, as writers, in general, don't have that kind of marketing mindset. It's a very different skill.
Yeah, it looks very different. It's I guess like a similar format would be almost like a free verse poem. It's kind of what copywriting looks like, especially with emails, where it can flow like that, or you can have just like one word for a whole paragraph, for example, just kind of like really set the tone. It definitely takes some time to get
Yeah.
used to, because like you said, like in publishing, it's a lot more structured.
Yeah. I would much rather just go to you. Much rather have you do that, because, oh my gosh, it's just too much. Joni's going to connect with you on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Um,
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Yeah. So many people, I'm just going to ask you this, because you are smart. When it comes to social media in general, and we think about copywriting, and we think about that kind of thing, is Facebook kind of dead at this point, or do you feel like, I mean, or another better, nicer way to say it, is Instagram a better place, or where do you feel like people should be spending a lot more of their time? Just like with Joni there, she I don't think she spends very much any time on Facebook anymore. Do you have
That's
any
a great
thoughts on that?
question.
I'm just picking your brain. I'm going off script here a bit.
Oh no, it's all good. I really love this question because it really depends on who your audience is. If they spend a lot of time on TikTok, that's probably where you should be. If they're more likely to be on LinkedIn, then that's probably where you should hang out. Not that you shouldn't check out other platforms, but it is a lot easier to focus on one, just because it's, even though you can technically repurpose like a Facebook post to TikTok, for example, you have to format it a little bit differently. You probably have to pair like a reel or something like that with it, which is going to take a lot of time. So I suggest figuring out the people that you're trying to attract, where are they? What do they like? And then try to balance it with a mixture of stuff that's more relatable and personal, stuff that's more behind the scenes, and also stuff like maybe teaching them something if you want to go that route too. I think Facebook groups are actually pretty good if you're in the right Facebook group. I've gotten a handful of clients to there, which is super cool. I've never been great at Instagram because it takes me too long to create a post, like a reel and stuff. It just takes me hours. Like I'm not a graphic designer, so it just takes me way too long to either create the post in Canva or
Yes.
to like stitch things together for like a reel or something like that. But yeah, it really depends on who you're trying to attract. Instagram and TikTok, and then maybe even Threads actually would probably be pretty popular for authors specifically. But don't be afraid to just show up on social media. Like you don't have to look official legit all the time, because again, people like the relatable stuff and they like feeling like they're getting to know you more as a person.
Yeah, I like the Facebook groups. And I think Joni will just do the Facebook groups. She's saying here, I took a Facebook Instagram break, and I think a lot of people have been taking a bit of a break lately, just because there's lots of stuff happening in the
Mm-hmm.
US right now. So it's like it's good for mental health to
Oh,
take
yeah.
breaks from that. And I mean, you can use just just for those of you who are watching. I use Buffer. I just got something off of AppSumo called Hopper HQ, and it's basically if you have a bunch of posts, you can put out a bunch of posts every month, and you schedule them, and they're all hooked up to your accounts. This takes a little bit more techie stuff, but it's all hooked up, and you can do kind of what Melissa's saying here, a little bit of your author journey or leading up to, your launch or that kind of thing. So I think, and then that way you're not actually on the platform. You're just posting to the platform. So I'm going to play with it some more. I might do a video about it, but the main thing is go to Melissa, get that copy correct, and then from there, she'll help you figure out your funnel. She'll help you figure out, right, your emails and that kind of thing and what that progression should be.
Yeah. It's very fun once you start figuring things out. You're like, oh, okay, well now I understand how this goes together.
Yeah. So you have an offer right now, and you're looking for beta testers. So let's talk about that, because I'm sure Joni might be interested in that. All of our authors should do it. You cannot beat it. So can you tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you. So I've created a course. It's called Secrets to Monetizing Your Email List. And it's for anyone who has some type of online product or business who is looking to sell an offer or like a book through their email list, but they either are starting completely from scratch or they started a list and they're like, well, now what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do next. And it's perfect for someone who is looking to strategize everything. Like I have multiple templates, like your re-engagement email sequence for cold subscribers, how to do the technical part of that in ConvertKit, which has got the name just got changed to Kit. I have a landing page template, and then the course materials itself aren't super dense. But it also comes with a Facebook group with access to me, because I know people are going to have questions. Because once you start writing, you're like, oh, well, I'm a little bit stuck on this question. I'm more than happy to like review your copy and then give you some suggestions, just so you're able to build a welcome email sequence and a landing page that is able to get people into your funnel that points to a paid offer. There is a small fee to be a beta tester. It is $35, but once the course becomes live, I am asking for feedback. It doesn't have to be a testimonial, just as I refine it, but full price, it will be $147. Because it will grow to be like a hybrid course group coaching model. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. It was a lot of fun to put together. I'm just looking for some tangible feedback just so I can refine it a little bit and then fully release it to the world.
I love it. I think I'm going to go ahead and get it myself.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely, because I feel like and I'll definitely give you the feedback and everything. Joni, do this. I think it'd be really helpful for you. Patricia, I definitely think it would be helpful. Everybody else who's watching, and those that we cannot see because there's like all these platforms going at the same time. Because again, I don't want to be in any one place. I don't want anybody to be able to pin me down. Okay. I don't know everybody who's watching, but if you're watching, this is a absolute no-brainer. Get in there before she closes her beta testing, and they can go out to the MEO marketing group to become a beta tester. Or where would you like them to go?
Oh, that's a separate link. I can pull that up real quick and drop it in. I can also email it to you too.
Yeah, put it in the private. I think you put it in the private chat.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. I see.
Yeah, while you're doing that, just letting everybody know, Synchronicity, I think it's full. I'm pretty sure that we've got 30 authors for that book. We are going to be moving into the year of the Lady Boss this year coming up. We are going to probably start with a female-led businesses book, and it's going to be really fun and very interesting. And I'm super duper excited. I have not pinned down the title yet, but I would like to start opening up registration for that December 1st. And let me tell you, if you do have, if you don't, you're not like, okay, well, yeah, but I'm not a massive entrepreneur. I don't, make $1 million a year or something like that in revenue. I'm not talking about that. You could be an author wanting to get more exposure for your book. You could be someone who has a side hustle and you're wanting it to grow more, but you're just kind of in those beginning stages. Or you could just want some brand awareness that you're just like, you know what? Whether your authorship is a brand or whether you are doing some products or services, even if you're doing some nonprofit things. I'd love to have you in our upcoming books this year. It's going to be really cool. And some will be for open for all entrepreneurs, men and women, and they, them, you know, it's just, I just want to have a just really cool year next year that helps people develop their skills and their abilities exponentially. So let me find that link that my friend has given me here. Pop that in the chat comments. Lenya, where'd it go? I did the wrong thing. Hold on. Yay. Okay, what we got? We've got, I'm hitting the wrong button. I'm going to do it right. All right, let's see. Can you see me, everybody? Did I get frozen?
I can see you.
Okay. MEO Marketing Group .thrivecart.com/secrets -2 -monetizing -your email list. So go out there, get it on. Get out there. Let's see. We've got Linnea. She says, thank you. This was so helpful. I reached out and set up a discovery call with you on Monday.
Oh, looking forward to meeting you. Thank you so much.
She is a fantastic author. By the way, we didn't publish her book. She's a collaboration author of ours, but I love when things like this happen because, you know, it's so good to share information and share tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter to me whether people have published with us or not. I want to make sure that people get their work seen, and that's why having you on here, Melissa, has been so good. And let's see, but like I said, she has a book. She's done really well with it, and I think you can take her to the next level. So,
well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any other closing thoughts or feelings, statements?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Like I said, like ever since I was little, like I've loved writing, I love storytelling, and I think authors are incredible people. And sometimes they just need someone to just kind of nudge them, tell them like, hey, you're talented, you're very good at what you do. The marketing stuff is important too. You've already done a lot of the hard work, which is creating the book, which is arguably a lot harder.
Yes. Yeah. So very good. Well, here's on the screen. You can reach out. You can also do a discovery call, and she can probably tell you more about that beta test if for some reason you don't get access to this link. Melissa, thank you so much. I'm going to take you off screen, and but I don't want you to go anywhere. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so grateful to Melissa for joining us. And I'm so happy that those of you who could pop on today did. And those of you who are getting that replay, go ahead and hit the hashtag replay for me so I'll know that where you came from and that you're watching, and that if you need anything, please write something in the comments and just say, hey, I'd like to get in touch with Melissa, or I'd like to get in touch with you, Kyra. And if you do need me, I'm at connect@asyouwishpublishing.com. Also, asyouwishpublishing.com is where you're going to find our flex package for publishing your books. If you want to become that indie author, being awesome out there and doing your thing and not having to reinvent the wheel, we're going to help you through every single step of the way and make it super easy. So, asyouwishpublishing.com. Our beautiful friend Melissa here, meomarketinggroup.com. And I will see you again soon. Take care.